When you start your day today, what is the first thing you do? Most likely your alarm goes off, you check your phone, maybe rush through breakfast, and head to work. In the evening, you return home, watch television, or spend time online. Everything is tied to the clock, planned, scheduled, and fast-paced. But what was a day like 1500 years ago in the Arabian Peninsula? How did people wake up in the morning? How did they plan their days? When did they work and when did they rest? What was the rhythm of life like? In this documentary, we will follow the day of an ordinary person in 6th century Arabian society step by step. We will take a closer look at the daily life of a Bedouin shepherd, a Meccan merchant, a woman, and a child. This is not merely a historical curiosity. It is also a journey that invites us to reflect on time, labor, and the simplicity of life. In the Arabian Peninsula, the day did not begin with clocks but with the sun. Even before dawn fully broke, as the first light appeared on the horizon, daily activity began. As the sun rose higher, the heat intensified rapidly, making work increasingly difficult later in the day. For a nomadic family living in the desert, the day started very early. The first to wake in the tent was usually the head of the household. As the sky showed its first reddish glow, he prepared to tend to the animals. Women would light the fire, prepare a simple morning meal, and check on the camels and sheep. Children slept a little longer, but older ones woke early to help their families. For a merchant living in the city, mornings were slightly different. Mecca was a trading center, and caravans often departed before sunrise. Merchants therefore rose early, inspected their goods, and prepared for the day's trade. Homes were quiet, as everyone focused on the tasks ahead. Breakfast was extremely simple: a few dates, some milk or water, and occasionally a piece of dry bread. Heavy meals were avoided, as a long and demanding day lay ahead. As the sun rose higher during the late morning hours, serious work began. A Bedouin shepherd would take his herd out to graze. Camels, sheep, and goats were his responsibility. Grazing areas near water sources were preferred. At times, this meant walking many kilometers with the herd. He was alone in the desert, surrounded by animals and endless stretches of sand. In the city, markets came to life. Spices from Yemen, fabrics from Syria, and goods transported from various regions filled the stalls. Bargaining was not merely about price, it was a form of conversation, news exchange, and social interaction. Merchants discussed road safety, approaching caravans, and which goods were in demand. For women, the late morning hours were the busiest part of the day. Carrying water, preparing food, caring for children, spinning wool, and weaving were all part of daily life. In middle-class and poorer families, women carried out all these tasks themselves. Working together with neighbors made the work easier, and also provided opportunities for socializing. When midday arrived, the heat reached its peak. In summer months, temperatures could rise to 45 to 50 degrees Celsius, making outdoor work nearly impossible. For this reason, midday was a time for rest. The shepherd would lead his herd to shade under a tree, if one was available, or otherwise beside a large rock. The animals affected by the heat would remain still. During these hours, people often slept and avoided heavy meals. In the city, markets grew quiet. Merchants closed their stalls and everyone sought shade. The streets became silent, as no one wished to remain outside under the intense midday sun. As the afternoon progressed and temperatures began to fall, life stirred again. The shepherd would take his animals to the wells, water the herd, and continue grazing until evening. Returning the animals to the tent before sunset was essential, as the desert became dangerous at night. In the city, markets reopened. Shopping resumed, and merchants displayed their goods once more. Trade continued until sunset. As the sun began to set, everyone returned home. Evening was the most important time for families to gather together. In the tent, a cloth would be spread on the ground, and food was served in a shared dish. Barley bread, dates, yogurt, or cheese were the most common foods. Meat was rare and usually eaten only on special occasions or when guests arrived. During the meal, the events of the day were discussed. The father would recount what had happened, and children would share what they had seen. Evening meals were not just about satisfying hunger, but about strengthening family bonds. On some days, people gathered in tribal councils where poetry was recited, news was shared, and tribal matters were discussed. Women would also gather with neighboring women to talk and spend time together. As night advanced, life came to a halt. There was no electricity, and the streets were dark. People slept on mats or rugs. A single blanket and a pillow were enough. A day in the Arabian Peninsula 500 years ago was very different from today. There were no clocks, but there was a sense of time. There was no technology, but there was order. People woke with the sun and rested with it. When Islam arrived, it did not disrupt this order. It gave it meaning. The times of prayer structured the rhythm of the day. In modern life today, we often lose track of time. We may not need to return to those days, but we can learn from them. Living simply, using time wisely, and staying connected as a family. If this documentary has given you a new perspective, do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it. See you in the next video. As-salāmu ʿalaykum.